But we start this hour in Europe as Ukrainian lawmakers have today approved a bill restoring the independence of the country's two main anti-corruption agencies, that following days of protests. The bill was presented by President Volodymyr Zelensky, reversing his unpopular measure last week to place the watchdog agencies under the oversight of the prosecutor general. Last week's measures by Zelensky to place the watchdogs under the oversight of the prosecutor general had sparked protests across Ukraine as well as the European Union, who raised concerns that the government could meddle in investigations and possibly shield its supporters from scrutiny. Let's now listen to what Zelensky had to say.
Подякувати зараз всім парламентарям за ухвалення мого законопроекту. Тепер вже закону. Щойно я підписав документ, текст буде негайно опублікований. Це гарантії нормальної, незалежної роботи антикорупційних органів. Закон гарантує відсутність будь-яких зовнішніх впливів, втручань, в тому числі гарантує завдяки перевіркам на детекторі брехні, регулярним перевіркам для усіх тих працівників органів правопорядку, які мають доступ до державної таємниці, або які мають родичів в Росії. Дуже важливо, що держава дослухається до суспільної думки, чує своїх громадян. Україна є демократією, точно жодних сумнівів.
Well, in response to this move, the EU has said today that the Ukrainian parliament had addressed key concerns over the independence of anti-graft bodies by approving the new anti-corruption bill, having rebuked Kyiv last week over this matter. Let's now listen to European Commission spokesperson Gelame Mercier.
When it comes to today's vote, which has taken place just a few minutes ago in the Rada, so the Rada has restored key safeguards ensuring the independence of the anti-corruption bodies. In our view, the new law addresses the key challenges of NABU and SAPO's independence. We will, however, need to check the final text as it has just been adopted. Let me, however, underline that this is not the end of the process. Ukraine accession will require continuous efforts to guarantee a strong capacity to combat corruption and to
Well, joining us live on the programme to discuss the significance of this move, Julia Kazdabina, a senior fellow at the Ukrainian Prism, joining us live from Kyiv. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to speak with us. We've, of course, provided some information there on some restoring in this new bill. But can you provide some context on why Ukrainians were so unhappy about Zelensky's initial move over anti-graft?
Well, what happened was a very, very quick vote in the parliament on July 22nd, when all of a sudden amendments have appeared in a law which was not absolutely which was absolutely not related to corruption legislation. Amendments appeared in that law out of the blue, and a parliamentary commission meeting was held without participation of some key members of the parliamentary committee, like the chairman of the committee and also the person who actually submitted the original law to which amendments were introduced. And those amendments were canceling independence of anti-corruption bodies, which would make it possible for president's political appointee, the prosecutor general, to actually exercise control over anti-corruption legislation, anti-corruption bodies. And that was happening at the time when some very high-level corruption cases were coming up, and it was clear that the anti-corruption investigators were closing in on some people who were rather close to President and his family, and so this move, very abrupt and very quick, because President not only he immediately signed the law, and that's something that doesn't happen very often in the Ukrainian system.
Yes.
So this was seen as President pushing his personal agenda and trying to use his power to shield his close friends and relatives, his close associates from justice.
Yes.
And what happened is there is sort of a convention in the Ukrainian society that, like you're the president, you're doing everything to fight, help the country fight the Russian aggression. And we understand that your domestic policies are not perfect, but as long as you're doing your job as a president, as a wartime president, we're willing to close our eyes. But when such a blatant move was taken and it was absolutely clear that the president was behind it, people just revolted and said, no, this is not the way we want things to be in our country. And especially when European institutions said that they were withholding some of the financing, and it was clear that this was derailing Ukraine's way towards the European Union, something that Ukrainians have been fighting for a long, long time. People just said, no, this is not the way it's going to be.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that insight, Julia. Before we let you go, how could this impact Volodymyr Zelensky in the longer term, given, of course, this war is still ongoing? There has been some kickback from the EU over this initial move, but in general, public support and public trust for Volodymyr Zelensky, a leader who, of course, is facing a war with Russia. Do you think that this could be a catalyst for some change? Or is this just an acknowledgement of a mistake that was made and full support will continue to be thrown behind Volodymyr Zelensky?
Full support for the moves aimed at continuing to fight the Russian Federation, right? But there will be definitely more attention paid to what he does in the domestic politics. And also, the big question is how the parliament is going to react, because the parliament and his faction in the parliament, it's been falling apart. It used to be sort of the one-party majority in the Ukrainian parliament, but since they were first pressured into voting for this law, and then they were pressured into voting against these amendments that that canceled independence of anti-corruption bodies, it's the question how this is going to affect relations between the president and his faction. But the fact that he actually did turn around and did introduce a bill, and they did work with the parliament to get a vote on it, it gives us hope that he's not going to act like his predecessor acted, which led to major revolts, and that he's actually willing and able to listen to what
Julia,
people say.
Sorry to interject. I just have some breaking news coming through, and I'd like to grab your opinion on it after I've given it. But the EU's Ursula von der Leyen